Drink. Okay. Today's going to be a little bit different because I was absent on Friday and we gave you guys a chance to start the homework and there is no quiz today. We're actually going to give you guys plenty of time to either, if you did not finish your homework, be able to start your homework and get as much done as possible. And if you were able to start your homework, then to look back over it, finish it up, or correct anything you might have been thought were wrong with it. So let's see. Can this whole side over here scooch back, please? Give me a little bit of room to operate. Thank you very much. Okay, so what is, if you will, what are we going to learn today from a topic point of view? What was that? Nice and loud.
Solve a system of cities.
Oh, we should know this word. We talked about it last week, right? Simultaneous. Good. What does simultaneous mean again, everybody? At same time. Very good. Keep going.
Equations using the elimination method.
Okay, good. So we're going to talk about solving simultaneous equations using the elimination method. And remember what this swirl thing is. The swirl is the language component, or whatever we're going to talk about with language for today. And SWRL stands for speak, write, read, listen. Okay? Why do we call this the elimination method? Now, we're not going to answer that yet. I'm going to actually teach it for a little bit, and then we're going to go back and talk about what the word means and try to have it relate to the lesson so that everybody can understand it. Does that make sense to y'all? Okay, since we're on the swirl component, do you remember the difference between y'all and all y'all? A girl from Texas taught me this.
No, I don't know it.
Y'all is singular, all y'all's plural. So if I wanted Stephanie's attention, I'd say, y'all pay attention. If I wanted everybody's attention, I would say, all y'all pay attention. So that would be a little southern language for you guys to understand at this particular point in time. Yes, Angelina, it is a unique Texas thing. It is not exactly the kind of thing we in New York understand inherently. So, now, what we're going to do is graph those two lines and see if they meet in the middle. Now, you are getting a preview of tomorrow's quiz. You are going to be given a graph tomorrow. You're going to be given two lines. You're going to graph the two lines at once, find the point of intersection, and then you're going to have to check that solution. So exactly what we're going through right now is going to be like tomorrow's test, and it'll be Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So you'll have your three chances to get 100.
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
I'm sorry, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Correct. Isn't it wonderful when we have Mondays off?
Yeah.
How many people here really appreciate a Monday off? How many people here have a cold?
Yeah, sort of.
I got a pretty bad cold. How many people here appreciate having a Monday off after a cold or when they have a cold? I really appreciate that. That's a big, 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 big deal. On Friday at 5:40 in the morning, I woke up thinking I would have to puke. And one of the strange things about getting a double knee replacement is being on your knees. It is a really weird feeling. Ziva loves to lean. So at home, if Ziva comes up to me and leans against my leg, I can feel her up here. I can feel her down here. But in the middle, you don't feel anything. It's a very, very strange feeling. So the first time you try to go on your knees, now my knees were more swollen when I tried to do that, but when I got up, I had bruises all over my knees. And you go on your knees and you can't really feel your knees. It's a very, very weird feeling. So I was at 5:40 in the morning on Friday. I woke up. Did you ever get a cold so bad, and when you get that really bad cold, when you get that really bad cold, you get so much boogies down the back of your throat that your stomach gets upset. So that's what I had on Friday morning. So it was 5:40 in the morning on Friday, and I woke up thinking I was going to throw up. So I went to the bathroom, and I realized that I had not been down on my knees since that one time I tried and I bruised my knees. So I didn't throw up, but I thought I would. You ever do that when you think you're going to throw up but you don't?
Yeah.
But you still feel like you're going to throw up?
Yeah.
And the thought occurred to me that if I come to school and I go to throw up, the men's room is across the hall. And I can run across the hall, but then I wouldn't be able to, I didn't think, go down to my knees. So then you're over the toilet, and I would be standing up. And I was afraid of just how messy it might get. You know what I mean? Can you imagine puking from a long distance? So I was quite concerned with what the results of that could have been. So I wound up playing it safe, staying home. I felt terrible. My fever was actually 96 degrees. They call that a low-grade fever. So I had a 96-degree fever. I had the chills and everything else, and I started to feel better a little
I
while.
thought your son said that you were here, but at a meeting.
No, that was the Friday before. My son wasn't in for me on Friday.
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
stupid.
Yeah. Okay, so what was the first line? Y equals 2x plus 1?
Y equals 3x minus 5.
3x minus 5. Okay, so y equals 3x minus 5. Now, the minute you look at this, you should say to yourself, what's the slope and what's the y-intercept? What's the slope, everybody? 3. And what's the y-intercept? Negative 5. Be careful about that. So I go down to negative 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I go up 3 over 1. Up 3 over 1. Up 3 over 1. Up 3 over 1. Let's do a little bit of backside there. And connect the dots. And what is the thing I have to remember to do now that so many people can easily forget to do? Elizabeth? Right, did you say write the equation on the line? All I heard was y equals 3x minus 5. Make sure you have it written on yours. Now, I'm looking at Marco's, and it looks to me, Marco, like you have the correct y-intercept and your slope is completely wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. Listen, slope is changing y over changing x. If it's 3, you gotta go up 3 over 1.
I
Up
went down.
3 over 1. Yeah, and that's a big deal. Look, is 3 a positive number or a negative number?
Positive.
Is this a positive slope or a negative slope?
Positive.
What kind of slope is this?
Negative.
And what kind of slope is this?
0.
So as soon as you know that the slope's a positive 3, you have to be going up and to the right.
Alright, yeah.
Okay? Right? Don't go forgetting that. Okay, so now, the next one I think is y equals 1/2 x. Okay. Now, with y equals 1/2 x, what's the slope? Everybody, what's the slope? I didn't hear. Come on, nice and loud. 1/2, good. And what's the y-intercept? 0, good. So I begin at the y-intercept of 0. Here it is. I go up 1 over 2. Oh, I'm feeling good. I'm definitely feeling the love right now. Yeah, feeling the love in a big way. When I go through a perfect point, that means it is highly likely, doesn't guarantee it, but it's highly likely that I'm correct. Now, the next thing I have to do is I have to label that point. What are the coordinates of that point? 2, 1, good. Now, so far, you have 90 out of 100. Oh, I have to write the equation on here, I almost forgot. Y equals 1/2 x. And the last thing I need to do is check this. That's the last 10 points of the quiz. If I'm going to check it, I have to rewrite both equations. So y equals 3x minus 5. Y equals 1/2 x. I'm going to pause for a second for you guys to do that. Make sure you write that down. Actually, I'm going to make this worth 20 points on the quiz. It's just easier for me to grade if I make it worth 20. Okay? And then I'll go back and explain to you how I'll grade the quiz afterwards. You'll see why it's so easy for me. Okay. Now, I'm just going to plug in the point. Remember, any point is xy. So what does the x equal, everybody? 2. What does the y equal?
1.
Look, the x is 2, the y is 1. So I come over here, and instead of x, I put a 2. Instead of y, I put a 1. Now, what is 3 times 2? 6 minus 5. And what's 6 minus 5? 1. So 1 equals 1, check. I was tutoring a kid yesterday, and in working with him, he almost tried to solve this like an equation, like add 5 to both sides. You never do that with a check. With a check, you're just calculating. Okay? Next, we said y was 1 and we said x was 2. Half of 2 is 1, so 1 equals 1, check. So, here's how I grade your quiz tomorrow. Ready? For the red line, I'm going to look for two things. I'm going to look for the slope, and I'm going to look for the y-intercept. Each one is worth 20 points. On the blue line, I'm going to look for two things. What do you think they are?
Y-intercept.
Slope and the y-intercept. Each one is worth 20 points. So 20, 20, 20, 20, that adds up to 80. And then I'm going to look for everything in green, the check, that's another 20. Altogether, that's 100 points. Okay? So if you get your y-intercepts right, but you get your slopes wrong, you're going to lose 40 points. You got to get them both right to get the full credit there. Yes?
What happens if you don't like label the equation on the line?
I would probably take off something like 5 points, picky. You know, the reason I have to do that is because on the state test they'll take off points. So I want you to remember, to be forced to remember that. Okay? Any questions? All right. How many? Go ahead.
What did you cross off the two?
Oh, because a half times 2 is 1. I went die back. Okay. Now, how many people got the point 2-1? We have 4 people in the room who have 2-1. 5 people, 6 people, 7, 8. Okay, 9. So that means you're in good shape. If you can do the check tomorrow, you should be able to get 100 on the quiz. Okay. The rest of you guys go home tonight. Make sure you study it really quick before you start your homework, and you may even have your homework done on this rare occasion. And that should help you out a whole lot. Okay. Any questions? Okay. Now let's get into the meat of today's lesson. Yes, hurry up. All right. Ever hear of the expression, there's more than one way to skin a cat?
Nope.
Never heard of that, huh?
No.
It's an old-time expression. It was pretty popular when I was a kid. You hear it every now and then. What it means is something like this. There are some things in this world that are difficult to do. And when you first try to do those things, you're going to have some difficulties. But sometimes an alternative approach can work better and be more effective. Now, we have been solving 2 equations at the same time. Everybody look at the 2 on the board now. If you were to graph those, what would you have to do? Can you, a little more volume?
Make the y
Right, you got to put them in y equals mx plus b form, right? And then you would have to manipulate them. And then, do you notice how there's no graph here? So you'd have to draw your own graph. This would be a pretty involved kind of question. Now, up until now, everything we have done is solving graphically. Today, we begin to solve algebraically. Yes?
With these questions, would you be able to use like graph paper or like instructions?
You could, but that's not the gist of where we're going with today's lesson. Today's lesson is we're going to try to teach you how to do it algebraically. Now, graphically means use graph paper. Algebraically means you don't use graph paper. We use algebra like solving equations. And in some ways, this technique can be unbelievably easy. Like this one is a really simple question. Way faster than graphing. Okay? So let me show you how to do this one, and we'll build ourselves up until we get to the point where they're a little more difficult. So, do you notice how the x's are lined up with the x's, the y's are lined up with the y's, and the numbers with the numbers? Everybody see that? Okay, that's really cool. 2x plus x adds up to 3x. A positive y and a negative y, notice how, that's an x. Notice how they have opposite signs. That's very important. Everybody look here, James. Notice again, look at the signs. What are the signs, everybody? They're opposites. That's extremely important. You want opposite signs. And positive y and negative y, if I add them up, they add up to nothing. Equals, and what's 3 plus 9? 12. Then I'm going to divide by 3. So isn't that loop just like solving an equation? And isn't solving an equation algebra? So I kill the 3's here, and I get that x is equal to 4. So that's my first step. My first step is to find those opposite signs, work it out a little. We're actually going to end up eliminating them. Remember that word elimination we talked about. We're going to come back to that. And then we solve it out. But here's the thing. How many letters are in the problem? 2. What are the letters? X and Y. What do I know so far? I only know X. So what do I have to go back and figure out? Y. Now I can use either equation, but I think one equation makes a little more sense to use than the other. What equation do you think makes a little more sense to use? Guys, head in the game. What equation is a little more sense? Alan? Well, it's either the top one or the bottom one. I think the top. Why do I think the top's a little better to use than the bottom? Eric?
Eric?
Oh, Jason. I have another kid, Eric Livacorin. Every time I see Livacorin, I think Eric. Go ahead, fire away. I'm sorry, what was that? No, that's not why I think the top one's better.
Take the 2 out of the equation and just x plus y.
No, I like it more because everything's positive. Right? Don't you tend to get more questions wrong if there's negatives in there? And do you see how the bottom one has a negative? So let's work with the top one. X plus y equals 3. What does x equal, everybody? 4. So 4 plus y is 3. I minus 4 for both sides. Y is negative 1. Now the next question I have to ask you is this. If you were to graph the 2 of these at the same time, what would be the point of intersection? Money question here. If I graph the 2 of these at the same time, what would be the point of intersection? Where would they cross? What? Can you louder? Okay. What was it? That's right, 4, negative 1. Very good. Remember, any point is xy. Didn't we say the x was 4? And didn't we say the y was negative 1? So we found the answer. Now, I could have graphed it. And if I graphed it, they would cross at 4, negative 1. But what looks like less work? Does the little bit we did there in blue and red look like less, or graphing? Keep in mind, you would have to manipulate them all. Okay, I think that it's easier in this problem to do it with this elimination method. Sometimes graphing is easier. Sometimes algebra. And there's 2 different techniques with algebra. Today we're learning elimination. Okay, now, everybody on your paper, just somewhere in this area right here, write down what you think the word eliminate means. Go ahead, write down. What does the word eliminate mean? Don't doodle. God bless. God bless. Now, lean over at the person's paper you're sitting next to. See what they think eliminate means. Do you think they got it right? Do you think they got it wrong?
Right.
Okay. Jason Velasquez, what do you think eliminate means? To get rid of something. Anybody else think eliminate means to get rid of something? Okay. Everybody turn to your neighbor. Tell them eliminate means get rid of. Okay. How come we call this the elimination technique? Why are we calling this the elimination technique? How come? Think about it. Look at that work we did in blue. Look at the work we did in red. Why call it elimination? Alan, what am I eliminating specifically? Not a number. Elizabeth, what am I eliminating? Which letter? That's right. That's the key. In the blue, when we start this problem, we eliminate or we get rid of the y. Now, over here, next to where you wrote whatever you wrote, I want you to write down, we call this the elimination method because we get rid of a letter. We call it the elimination method because we get rid of a letter. Now, here's where you can tell if you're going to use the elimination method, okay? First off, they have to tell you that it's an algebra, solved algebraically. The second thing that you look for, that says to you, okay, I'm going to do the algebraic technique, is I look for this. Ready? The x's over the x's. Are we looking here, guys? Everybody got me looking up. X's over x's, y's over y's, numbers over numbers. When you've got the same things aligned vertically, that means that you're going to use the elimination technique. Okay? So, let's take a look at the next question. Does it look like everything is lined up? Take a look, guys. Does it look like we have everything lined up?
Yes.
So what technique do you think it is that we should use? What technique? The elimination technique. What letter do you think we should eliminate? Jalen? Yeah, the B's, because the B's match up, and it's very important. Do you see how they have opposite signs? It's very important that they have opposite signs. Okay, figure it out. Go ahead. Well, it doesn't look to me like they're on the right page, but. No, this is today's packet. This is not the one from the other day. Today is 4. Oh, I'm sorry. You know what? You're right. You're right. I'm wrong. Alan, I think you can copy this down. Are you doing that? Okay, good. Thank you. Boy, this one's looking ugly, huh? Hold on a second. Let me change this off a little bit. Hold on. Let's change this slightly. I'm sorry. Ready? Let's change this a little bit. And hold on. That will work. Okay. Go ahead. That's going to work a little bit better. Try it again. You won't get a fraction this way. Sorry about that. Okay. So now, this time I think we're going to be able to work it out a whole lot better. First off, once again, how do you know to use the elimination method? What makes you look at this problem and say to yourself, oh, first of all, what gives you the idea that you should not graph it?
No graph.
There's no graph. Excellent. Also, it's A and B, not X and Y. Okay? Now, what makes you say, okay, I'm not going to graph it, so I should use the elimination method? Michael, what makes you think you should use the elimination method? Yeah, well, you can still answer the question. What? Mike, I really can't hear. Did anybody hear him?
No.
Okay, because I thought it was my ears were the only problem here. Fernando, what do you think? Why use elimination? A little more than that. There's something else that means elimination.
Because that's what we're doing, and it says it on the sheet.
Well, you know what? If I was a kid, I would think that too. But one of the points I'm trying to do is drive home why you call elimination.
The negative and positive.
That's a big step in the right direction. There's one more thing you need in addition to a negative and a positive. Kayla? That's the opposite. That's the same thing. Come on, talk to me here. Let's go find one more thing. Alexandra?
Oh,
We're obviously missing this point. I did say it before. Marco?
wait. About the opposite.
No. Elizabeth? They're lined up. A's over A's, opposites B's. It could be opposite A's as long as one of them's opposite. And numbers. As long as we have that lined up thing, then we're looking to do elimination. I'm going to pause for a second. Just write yourself a note on your paper, and on the note, write down, if they're lined up, use elimination. It's that lined up that really tells you elimination's the way to go here. Okay, and what's really cool is that they match. Now tomorrow, we're gonna take this to the next level, and they're not gonna have the same number, and we're gonna have to do a little manipulating. But for today, we're keeping it pretty simple. What would 3A plus A add up to?
4.
4A. Positive B, negative 2B, nothing, ungats. Negative 1 plus 5. What does it add up to? Positive 4. Divide by 4. A equals 1. So my first step is to find one of the variables. But the problem doesn't have only one variable in it. What does it have? It has 2 variables. So now I can use either equation. Which one is probably a little easier to use?
Bottom.
Bottom one, because everything's positive. So A plus 2B is 5. 1 plus 2B is 5. That's a 2 there. So minus the 1. 2B is 4. Divide by 2. What does B work out to be? What's 4 divided by 2, everybody? 2. Excellent. Now, we can check this guy too. The way we check this guy is we write both equations. 3A minus 2B is negative 1, and A plus 2B is 5. Go ahead, check them. Stephanie, you do beautiful artwork, but let's focus on the math. It really is beautiful artwork. She's very, very talented. Remember, plug in the A of 1 and the B of 2. This will be worth 20 points on tomorrow's quiz, your ability to check, right? So if you can't do this, you can't get 100 more. You want to get that 100 so you don't have to take any more quizzes. Okay, so A is 1, so 3 times 1 minus 2 times 2 is negative 1. What's 3 times 1?
3.
3. 2 times 2 is 4. So 3 minus 4 is negative 1. Negative 1 equals negative 1. Check. Okay? Over here, 1 plus 2 times 2 is 5. What's 2 times 2? 4. And 1 plus 4 is 5. So 5 equals 5. Check. Okay? Any questions on that? Okay. Now, Let's go back to it one more time. Swirl. Everybody said the word elimination. Everybody has written the word elimination. S-W-O. We've said it. We've written it. S-W-R. We've read it. And we have, I don't know, whatever the L was. Listen to it. Yeah, okay. So we've done all of that. Now, once again, why do we call this the elimination method?
Cause
Write yourself a quick note. Go ahead. There's space right there on your paper for it.
matched up.
No, that's when you use the elimination method. I'm saying why call it the elimination method? Why do we call this the elimination method? Why don't I call this the Timbuktu method or the graphing method or whatever method I want to call it? Why call it elimination? Who knows why I call it elimination? Chels? Okay, now, what does that word eliminate mean again? Get rid of, good. On the space underneath it, tell me some other time in life, in anything in life, where you eliminate something. Alan? Yeah, but I mean, when do you, tell me something that you did in your life that you eliminated something. I could be really gross right now.
Go ahead.
At the end of the period, I'm going to go across the hall and go
Oh,
to the
that's
bathroom.
so.
I'm going to eliminate something. Okay? I eliminated the garbage in my house yesterday when I took it to the curb and the garbage man took it away. Okay? So, well, it's a pretty, graphic response. I think it's hard to forget. All right? Here's another one. If you eliminate a nuisance in your life, get rid of it. Ziva eliminated the possum that was in the backyard. So, it was there. Okay. We have, Ziva killed the possum.
No, he just said he would have the possum.
Oh, possums are gross.
Exactly.
They're disgusting. They're like that mange.
My
All right.
people can kill a cow.
Your pit bull can kill a cow? I thought I saw it kill a Tyrannosaurus Rex. Didn't I read something about that in the paper?
Yeah.
That's what I thought, yeah. Folks, hasta la vista. Bye, Antonio. Toodaloo. Ta-ta. Arrivederci. Smile a lot. Ciao. How's the finger? I hope it gets better. Arrivederci. Adios, amigos and amigas. Cheerio. Cheerio. Take care.
Oh, I love
Ta-ta.
Cheerios.
See ya. Are you going out for basketball? No? Wrestling manager, that's right.
Kayla Alston to guidance. Kayla Alston to guidance, please.
Let's rock. All right, you can take one of those, but we're not actually going to use it today. We'll use it tomorrow.
Okay. I'm gonna wait till tomorrow then.
Take it today, because who knows what's going to happen by tomorrow.
Okay. I like being thin. What up, my mom
Leah
said
should
that
be here.
have to-
Oh no, she's not in, huh? I thought she'd be back today.
Wish I could share something.
She's cold. She's sick.
Well, practically, my mom says since I grew taller, I have to eat more because my body is much more thinner now. So
I'm sure you're complaining about that. Okay, come on, let's go, guys.
I don't want to be way too thin.
Gabby's gonna kill my pencil sharpener back there. Okay.
Hey, we was here.
Yeah, I wasn't too upset about. Can you put that over on the side there? Thank you. I wasn't too upset about when you wrote on the side. I was very upset with 7th period. They covered that whole board with stuff that I had to clean. So I don't mind Arlene and Gabby if you use a little chalk on the side. That's fine. I don't get upset about that. But please, when I am absent, don't write on the whiteboard with magic marker. I hate when magic marker goes on a whiteboard. It's a pain in the butt to clean. Okay. Now, put it away. And don't take it out the rest of the period. Unless we happen to finish early. Then you can. I don't care. Couple of different things. Did you guys ever get a cold where you get so many boogies going down the back of your throat that you feel like you're going to throw up?
Yeah.
That's where I was at Friday morning at about 5:40 in the morning. But there's something else going on that's really weird.
Post-nasal drip?
Yeah, it was post-nasal drip that led to that, yeah.
I have that, but it's not that bad. It just makes me, like, almost puke.
Yes, and I was to the point, though, where I was starting to get the heaves. Now, one of the weird things about getting a knee replacement is everything down here I can feel. Everything up here I can feel. It doesn't feel, I'm starting to feel here, but I'm not 100% yet. And sometimes, like if Ziva leans against me, I feel her here, I feel her here, I feel the weight here, but it doesn't feel the same. It feels weird. It almost feels numb. It's a very strange feeling.
Like your foot's asleep?
Yeah, similar to your foot being asleep, without the pins and needles. So, a while back, I tried to get on my knees. And I bruised my left knee pretty good.
How'd you lose it if you were just trying to do that?
At the time, I was pretty swollen in my knees. I'm still a little swollen, but at the time, it was pretty swollen. And I just wanted to know, could I go on my knees? And it was really, and I put most of my weight on my hands. I was on like all fours, but I put most of my weight on my hands. But it was a very weird feeling, and I didn't like it. It was very strange. And also, I wasn't very flexible. I'm still not super flexible, but I'm more flexible now. So I wake up at 5:40 in the morning on Friday, thinking I'm going to puke. I go into the bathroom, and the thought occurs to me, what do you have to go on if you're going to puke?
Your knees.
Your knees. And I'm like, oh my God, this is weird. I don't know if I can do this.
Just get a pillow and put it underneath your knees.
Well, the pillows definitely help. But then I said to myself, well, wait a minute. What if I'm at school? What if I have to puke? What if I run across the hall, go in the bathroom? I don't have a pillow. How am I going to puke in school? Then I said, wait a minute, am I going to stand up and puke? Man, that's got the potential to make a mess. If you hit the toilet, you're going to get spray all over the place. It's going to, hit and splash. And if I don't hit the toilet, oh, that's not nice. I mean, you got to clean it.
Oh, I already know that from
That,
mom.
yeah, that's going to be terrible. So I thought about it, and I said, you know what? Friday's just not a good day to come into school. And then I got really lucky because I sketched out what I was covering which day for the next couple of months, or next month or so.
What do you mean?
What lessons I'm going to do each day. And I don't know how I did this. I thought lesson 3 was Friday's work. But lesson 3 is actually going to be today's work. So I made a mistake,
So
and
we
it,
already did it?
well, you did the homework part. Hopefully you finished the homework the other day. If you finished it, you're not gonna have any additional homework today, except for, there's probably a question at the end which you didn't know how to do.
I think I did.
We're gonna cover that in class today. So we're gonna do the lesson part that goes with that. Okay? And that's what we're gonna cover today. Now, the first thing is that the do it was going to be a quiz. You're actually gonna get your quiz tomorrow. And I'm gonna give you a do it that's like your quiz question. So take the sheet that I put over there for today, put it in your binder, we're gonna do it tomorrow. So tomorrow I will not give you a new sheet, okay? Now, as for today's sheet,
We already have that. So
you already have it from the other day, so turn back to that sheet.